the heart and soul behind every business. Stories. Welcome to Business Story of the Week, hosted by me, Joshua Laurie. From setbacks to comebacks, from tragedies to triumphs, we inspire entrepreneurs through conversations that matter. Witness the magic that turns dreams into reality. Whether it's your career, business, or life, your success is always one story away. This is Business Story of the Week.
I'm Jessica Rhodes, and you are listening to the Business Story of the Week.
Fantastic. And that is the lovely Jessica Rhodes. She's our guest for today. And of course, my name is Joshua. I am your host today, every episode, and every week. We guys ask you a question. And today's question for this episode is, what makes podcasts more of a not just a broadcasting tool, but how can podcasting be more than just a broadcasting tool? That's really the question on here. And ladies and gentlemen, of course, this is a topic that we know, love, and we love this topic on here. We've had this topic so many times already, but we love talking about it. Jessica is the perfect guest to have on here today. I'm quite excited to talk about her and what she does. Jessica Rhodes founded Interview Connections, the world's first and leading podcast booking agency in 2013, back when no other agencies like it existed. She is a pioneer, ladies and gentlemen. Since its founding, Interview Connections has booked over 30,000 podcast interviews for over 800 clients. Very cool. Jessica is passionate about helping entrepreneurs to feel like the best kept secret grow their business online through genuine human to human connection. The podcast interviews Jessica and her team have booked have helped their clients generate millions of dollars in sales, sell thousands of books, and transform countless lives through podcasting. And I am very, very excited for this one. Of course, we are going to be talking to a veteran, a titan in the industry, a pioneer in the industry. Jessica, thank you so much for coming on the show. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you? Thanks for having
I'm doing
me.
great. I've been excited about this for quite a while. Of course, we did our research, and of course, wow, Jessica is going to come on to the show. And of course, I've always loved taking insights from people who's been doing it for a long time. And Jessica, you did it. You've been doing it for a while. Since 2013, you pioneered podcast booking, podcast agencies. Jessica, before we really get into it, though, and of course, we want to get into all that good stuff, like the connections, what makes podcasting so effective. But I want to start off with the origin story. And that's what I always do on the show. What was the young Jessica Rhodes like? Did the young Jessica Rhodes always know she was going to get into podcasting or any speaking, or did she love conversations? What would the young Jessica say to the Jessica today?
Well, the young Jessica loved talking, so that has stayed true. That was absolutely a nature, not a nurture thing. So I've always loved
Wow.
talking. I mean, young Jessica wanted to be an actress. So I
Mhm.
was in the theater my whole childhood. So I wanted to be on Broadway and do TV shows. That was like my childhood dream. And then went to college, ended up majoring in communications and leadership. So I did end up, in hindsight, going to a college and studying things that are very relevant to what I do now. But, when I was in college, nobody was talking about podcasts. Podcasting was not like an industry that existed. So yeah, I went to school for communications and strategic leadership, worked at a nonprofit organization leading a door-to-door canvas,
Mhm.
and ended up becoming an entrepreneur out of a desire to be home with my kids. So after I got married and became pregnant with my first child, who's now 11 years old,
Right.
I wanted to be home, and my dad introduced me to the world of online business, and
Uh-huh.
he became my first client and asked me to book him on podcasts.
Wow, that's cool. At first, it was very cool that your dad was the first guy to, of course, believe in it all. But also, 2013, 2012, yeah, podcasting really wasn't much of a thing, right? It's very niche, and it's very niche because people don't really like are gonna sit down and listen to. I might as well listen to a radio, right? But it started blowing up early further on, of course, with the bigger podcast being there, of course, um uh the types of Joe Rogan when they started blowing up, and then people started listening to them more, and then podcast became a thing. He got this big contract with Spotify, and just kept blowing up from there. I love it because it was around the time when I started getting interested in podcasts as well. And then I really made sure, like, I feel like I could pursue this career path. But so I started doing back end work stuff for it. And then, but again, I love that you started with your origins, like you started with your family, you started small. But now, Jessica, you went from there to to booking your dad, a few podcast shows, to now interview connections, 800 clients, 30,000 podcast interviews. How did you take it from that to where it is now? I think that's a very, very important uh, element in there.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking 11 years is how long I've been in business. And so it's one client at a time. And that's the important thing. I think a lot of times in business, we're shooting for the moon, we're going for big things. How can I get the most leads, the most clients, the most anything? But what I have learned over these last 11 years and what I continue to practice is it's, one client at a time. Every client that we sign up, every client that we serve, I want to do the best possible job for them because the best clients come by way of referral. So you do a really good job with a client, they refer to you. You do a really good job with the host you're interacting with, they refer business to you. And so maintaining a reputation of quality is
Yeah.
the I think that's probably the biggest secret to
Mm,
success is
mhm.
maintaining that reputation of really quality,
Right.
maintaining that reputation of integrity and, always valuing excellence, always doing my best possible job, our best possible job every single day, every single year. And that compounds and over time provides a really strong foundation to weather through storms because it's not always easy. It's not always perfect. There's down months, there's down years,
Of
but when
course.
you have that strong foundation to grow off of, you can make it through anything.
I love that. And then, of course, value. Like focusing on that value, I think really, really goes a long way. And especially with podcasting, I think at the very center of that is valuable connections, valuable, meaningful conversations. Because really, that's what we're trying to achieve in every episode. We're trying to make conversations meaningful, and every time that we talk to someone, we're trying to create that connection, not just with each other, but using that conversation to connect with other people as well. And I feel like you've mastered this. Of course, 11 years, and then like so many and more than a decade now of working with a lot of clients, a lot of different types of shows. You built a business that's not just about booking podcasts, but really about transforming lives. How do you feel like you blended like you said, you needed strategy so you can weather the storm, but you also needed authentic connection. You also needed that value, like making sure everything is, high quality. How did you blend that together with your business in order that allow you guys to propel, interview connections? Again, I
Yeah.
mean, I love that. I mean, the heart and the business. How did you blend that together?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, in the beginning of any business, you kind of work with whoever will pay you what you want to charge. I think a lot of people can relate to that in
Hmm.
business. The beginning, you're just getting started. You're like, who are your ideal clients? Like anyone that'll pay me, like I will serve. That's kind of how things are in the beginning.
Hmm.
And over time, as you grow and as you have more clients, you have more revenue, you have more profit, you do
Hmm.
have the luxury to turn clients away that you don't feel aligned with. And part of that is, for us, it's like, okay, that industry or that type of business is just outside of our scope of what we really understand or what we want to specialize in. But also over time, it grew into, do I feel really good about promoting this business? Because do I feel really good about helping this person and their
Hmm.
values make more money and have a bigger impact? And so there's times, like, for example, when somebody books a call with us and is interested in having us book them on podcast, we look at their website, we look at their social media. It's, there's a hard line in the sand if there's things that they're posting that are hateful or unkind or,
Hmm.
just we don't feel good about, like, we wouldn't choose to bring more visibility to their content, then I'm not going to take their money and help them get more visibility on their content. So there's that, but really just valuing clients who are having a positive impact. Like, we have a lot of clients that are, like, some of our favorite clients are, clinical hypnotherapists, they're healers, they help people recover and heal from trauma. And then even on the business side, business coaches and marketing agency owners, people that are just helping their clients grow their businesses. Like, we feel really good about that. So, did I lose you, Josh? Pause.
Jessica, thank you
I
for
lost you.
sticking. Yeah, I mean, sometimes that's actually my challenge here where I'm located.
Yeah.
Internet is bad,
Yeah.
electricity is bad, and running a show with all those factors. Oh my gosh, imagine
Yeah.
so I've been considering moving and all that, but while I'm here, I want to thank you for the patience. Thank you for sticking around, Jessica. Oh my god. Oh my god. Mm.
Can you hear me, Josh? Because you're frozen. Okay, back. No, there's
Oh my gosh, unbelievable. I
Okay.
can't believe it. Wow. Hello, Jessica. I was just talking about that and then literally got dropped off again. I'm sorry
Yeah.
about that, Jessica,
Um,
but I'm sure you've encountered this a lot as well.
it
You-
happens.
Is your whole career, you did decade with interview
Yeah.
connections. Well, okay, Jessica, I'd love to pick up where we left
Yeah.
off.
I know your last, do you want me to just answer? I remember your last question. So do you want me to just, do you want to ask the last question or I could just pick up with my answer?
Mhm,
Because
mhm.
I kind of,
Did you finish
you dropped
your?
off kind of in
Did
the middle.
you close your
There
answer the
wasn't a
last?
clean ending because you dropped off and I was like, I'm going to pause. And
Okay, all
then,
right. Okay, that's
yeah.
fair. All right, so yeah, I'll ask it, and
Okay,
basically, so we could
perfect.
just stitch it together
Yeah, that sounds good.
cleanly. So my question was to the point was, how do you blend heart and business together?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So, in the beginning of having a business, you just basically take any client that will pay you. You know, that's how you get your business off the ground for the most part. That's not true for everyone, but I think for a lot of entrepreneurs who are bootstrapping and starting a new service, you kind of take whoever
Yes.
will, and the luxury over time as you become more successful and as you become more profitable is to be able to select and choose who you feel really
Yes.
good about. And so as we grew Interview Connections, and I say weeks, I have a business partner who's our CEO. We really worked to define our company values and what we value as a company, what we value as a team. And so that really helped us attract clients that we really felt aligned with and that had a lot of heart. So I think that's the big lesson is having clear values because when a client comes in that you're like, I'm not really sure this is who I want to put my time and effort into. You look at, is this aligned with my values? And if the answer is yes, you take them on. And if it's no, you don't have to work with everyone.
All right. I mean, of course, it's also the desperation, right? Sometimes we're
Yeah.
just desperate. Maybe at the beginning, is it's normal. We get desperate. We take on anyone, but further on, you start learning with the things that you value, and if the client matches with you, if it's something that that you guys can work together or not. And again, if they align with your values, hey, why not? Right? Like, let's work together. And
Yeah.
it's always a challenge, but at the same time, it's rewarding with podcasting because, you get to connect with a lot of different types and you get to learn, a lot of different personalities. You get to experience a lot of them. And when it comes to now that we're, starting to get deeper into it, Jessica, um, I would love to ask the questions now of why you think podcasting is more than what it is, right? Because
Yeah.
when it comes to podcasting, um, the original, this original form was radio, like really just talking, a radio interview. How do you think it has evolved to a point now where really it seems to be an entirely different entity of its own? And why do you think it's so effective, especially today?
Yeah, and that's such a good point about how it really came out of radio, which is broadcasting. And the difference I see mostly with podcasting, especially this podcast interview framework, is that it's a relationship, it's a networking strategy.
That's it.
Um, so many of our testimonials from our clients have to do with the host of the show
Hmm.
that we connect them with becoming their client. The host of the show connects them with a speaking opportunity. The host of the show says, I have somebody in my family that needs your service. Like it's all about the networking with the host. And what makes this a scalable networking strategy is that there are hundreds, if not thousands, of people listening to that conversation. You know,
Hmm.
imagine going to a networking event face to face and you're having a conversation with someone one on one, but 500 people or 1,000 people are listening to that conversation. It's very scalable. You can leverage that. It's recorded. And so then you can post it out and share it and leverage it in so many different ways. But at the core of it, it's a one-on-one conversation with somebody that is in your industry, that has your target audience, that has an interest in what you're talking about. And that's what makes it powerful. That's what makes it different than you just broadcasting.
Yeah, the conversation aspect of it is really strong, right? And I think that's what really connects people to having that experience of just feeling like you're just with them, sitting down with them, having that conversation with them is very strong because that connection, it feels like you're connected more, and I think that's what really sets apart. Because as opposed to just broadcasting, you're putting your message out there. The laid back nature of podcasting that allows you to sit with the host, sit with the guest, and just hear them talk it out, I think is what truly builds that connection. Of course, your company, your agency is called interviewconnections.com. Talk to us about that journey. And when it comes to like key milestones when you guide your clients, how do you guide them to really standing out when it comes to their podcast?
Yeah, I mean, we really again teach this as a networking strategy and, as a strategy to create thought leadership content that is leverageable and is scalable. So we really help our clients to see that it's so much more than just broadcasting on the biggest possible shows, but it's making the correct connections. It's having, good conversations with hosts that see your value and are curious about what you do and, provide you with that thought leadership content. And so we've learned all of these different strategies to leveraging podcasts, interviews, over the course of the last 11 years. And I learned so much from our clients. Like I implement the strategy myself. I do podcast interviews as I'm doing right now.
Mhm.
And then we also, network. We have networking calls with our clients. We do group coaching calls so that they can learn from each other and they can
Right.
share. I have a client who attributes 9 figures in revenue from podcasts, from podcast interviews. And I'm like,
Wow.
what? And so I'm like,
Wow.
what? And I'll interview them and I'm like, what did you do? And they'll say, oh, I did it this way, or I always ask the host for a referral, or I always do this. And I'm like, great, those are such good tips. Like, I never would have thought about that, but like, let's share this out. So I really have this open book policy where there's no secret sauce. We're an agency. So what you're buying from us is like, we're going to do it for you. But I have no secrets to the strategy. At the end of the day, anyone can do this. And so I share as much value and content as I can, doing like master classes and things like that to say, here's the strategy. Here's how it works. Like, go use it because it will help grow your business. And it's so good too for people that kind of don't like marketing or it doesn't come naturally to them, but they're like, I don't know how to create content. I'm like, if you can have a conversation,
That's it.
you can answer
That's it.
questions. You
That's
you
it.
know how to do that. And they're like, yeah, I can do that. I'm like, that's all it is. It's just going out and having conversations, and then you attract the right people to you when you have those conversations.
I love that. I love that because like you pointed out, like people don't want, like some people are not comfortable with organic content, but really if you want to put content out there, you put yourself out there, have a talk. Anyone can have a talk. Anyone can have a conversation, and I love that. I love that you pointed that out. And again, it's clear. It's you talk about podcasting like it's the back of your hand. You truly mastered the art, Jessica. As we begin wrapping this up, the intersection of visibility and authenticity. Of course, visibility with podcasting, but being authentic. How do you teach your clients to 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 master that intersection, and at the same
Yeah.
time, how do you see it shaping the future of podcasting?
Yeah, so the intersection of visibility and authenticity, it's interesting. I just saw a post, somebody was talking about authenticity when I was like looking at Instagram yesterday, and
Well,
and it is a hot topic, right? Because people want to work with companies who they feel aligned with. That's again why I talked about the values, is you get to choose clients that you feel aligned with them. They match your core values, and clients, that's also how buyers buy now, is they want to work with the company that they align with. And so I just had somebody the other day say, you're in my marketing budget for 2025. Like I will be
wow,
working with you, and it's because of your story.
wow.
She has a company that does environmental work. And she goes, because I learned that you worked for an environmental nonprofit before starting Interview Connections and that your dad was your first client. Like, yes, like that's the reason she's choosing Interview
Mhm.
Connections, is because of the founder's story. And so every founder has a story.
Mhm.
Share yours. She's choosing us because of my story. Whoever, there's the listeners listening to this, whatever your story is, there's going to be people that choose you because they align with your story.
That's it. I
And
love that one.
knowing that and remembering that is the biggest reminder of abundance. There are so many different people out there. There's enough clients for everyone.
Mhm.
And by sharing your story, you will help all of these buyers choose who is the right fit for them.
Wow.
So share your story, share your founder's journey. That will attract the correct clients for you.
And when we correct clients, correct audience, of course, the first step is building that audience. But eventually, when people start seeing the stories that you share, and like the authenticity, I think individuality is stuff that we need to do more of today. And I feel like that authenticity is highlighted very, very well in podcasting. I love it. And I love it, Jessica. Again, the way you talk about podcasting is so natural. Like it really comes off naturally. And of course, that's the result of your decades of experience. And I'm very, very glad I got to ask you these questions and these insights. Jessica, as we begin wrapping this up, this is more of a personal question for me. I mean, I've only started a few years. You've been in this for a decade. How do you keep it going? How do you how what made you keep doing it? This you're a decade into this, you're still in it. How do I prepare myself to do it for a decade?
You have to know what your North Star is. What is
Mhm.
your vision? What is the why for what you're doing, like that big picture? Because if you don't have a clear connection to your why and to the bigger picture and to the impact that you're having,
Mhm.
it does become hard. I mean, you're like, God, I don't want to do this anymore. Like there are those moments where when it's just about you and today can be difficult.
Mhm.
But when I connect to my bigger vision, when I look at the clients that we're serving and the impact that we're having on their life and then the
Mhm.
impact that their business is having on other people's lives and the domino effect of that, I'm like, okay, yeah, that's why I'm doing this. And so just connecting back to the big picture, to the vision,
Right.
and then also being open to receiving the input from people that do consume your content. I'll get feedback from clients and from people who follow our content that's like that, I inspire them and that I, show them what's possible and that I motivate them. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I got to keep going then because people are watching and they're
Wow.
inspired. And so, I'm a big fan of Alex Hormozy and I listen to his podcast a lot. And so one thing that he talks about is business. There's no losing in business. The only way to lose is to quit. So the goal is just to keep going. He's like, the goal of business is just to stay in business. As long
Uh-huh.
as you don't quit, you don't lose.
Wow.
And so I'm like, yes, like that's it. Like there can be hard days and hard months and hard years, but as long as you don't quit, you'll keep going and then it'll get better. There will be hard days, but if you just keep going, you'll have a good day and then have an even better month and et cetera, et cetera.
I love it, and just keeps going there. And again, Jessica, thank you so much for that reminder. I value it. I value taking it from someone who's been at it for a long time. Taking inspiration from the people who's paved the way, and of course, same inspiration from Alex, of course, and all the big favorite podcasts that we love. Jessica, thank you for coming on to the show. I truly, truly am honored. I love that you came on here, and thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Once again, the website is interviewconnections.com. Jessica, where else can we find you? Where else can we connect?
I mean, I'm on LinkedIn and Instagram, Interview Connections, or Jessica Rhodes, Rhodes on LinkedIn. If you'd like to connect with me, let me know you heard me on this show.
Fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, go check that out. Go find Jessica. Check out her website. And of course, everything that they do in Interview Connections. And, if you dream of doing the same one day and putting yourself out there in a podcast, or same dreams as mine of being where Jessica is today, someday, well, you know where to find Jessica. Go connect with her. To our audience and listeners out there, thank you so much for watching the episode. I hope you guys enjoyed this. We will see you on the next one. Bye bye.
All right, so here's the thing we try to get a little bit better every day. but we can't do it without you. So if you like the video, make sure to like and subscribe below. And if you have any comments, just leave them in the space under.